I was trying to keep all the plates in the air. And I think the plates at the time were, I just need everyone, including myself, to see that I'm okay. I got it. I'm okay. All I got to do is smile. If I smile, I can trick myself mentally and internally that I'm not upset.
This is a Pink Boots production.
We're here to laugh, we're here to cry, we're here to share what's deep inside. But on all the days, all the time, we are more than you see.
Hi everyone, we're back with More Than You See, where Shelley and I have conversations with creatives about our mental health journeys. As a reminder, we aren't licensed practitioners or therapists, but in sharing our own struggles and victories, we hope that we can offer you some camaraderie and help you build the tools in your mental health toolbox. Hi, Shelley.
Hey, Deborah.
How are you doing today?
Ooh, I'm tired this last month. It felt like a year. It's been so packed with both good and not the good. I'm ready for a nap. I don't know. Do we nap anymore as adults? How are you, Deborah?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited that this is our second episode and that we're like restarting this. We're recording in May, which is Mental Health Month.
This is one of the good things of the month that was happening.
It's true. It's true. And I'm doing okay. Was on the struggle bus a little bit earlier today, and recording this is making me happy.
Yeah, you got to find the pockets
exactly
of joy amidst. Yeah, this is the struggle bus is parked over on the side of the road, getting some gas so we can do a podcast.
I love it. So welcome, everyone. This is a new type of episode that we are launching.
Hope you like it.
So something that we're going to do this season with my amazing co-host here, Shelley, is we're going to do some remix episodes. But instead of just going, here's a past episode, hope you enjoy, we instead want to actually listen to some past episodes with you, the listeners, and then dive into it, because this is the 6th season of the podcast, which means it has been on for 5 years, which is insane. And I think that having a co-host now, I'm really excited to go back. We can check in about how much I've grown, how much guests have grown, and obviously you have been on the show twice, in season 2 and in season 4. So today we figured that we would start off our remix episodes by bringing you back and listening to some of the past episodes with you. Exactly. This is really exciting because we just looked at it a little bit before we started recording, and there's some fun little goodies in there that we're going to dive into.
I can't wait to call past version of Shelley out.
Isn't it fun? So
yeah,
we're going to play some clips and then discuss and figure out what we've learned and how you've grown, and just get into it, shall we?
The first clip we're going to listen to is from my first interview on More Than You See. The year was 2021, and Deb had asked me how things went for me during COVID. And I'm interested to hear how it did go for me and what I said in 2021.
I'm curious, before we play this, how do you think it went? What do you remember about COVID?
I remember a lot of couch sitting and going through Trader Joe's wine. I watched Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, for the first time ever, because I always said, oh, well, I just don't have time to watch it. And now there was no excuse for time. I don't remember if that evoked creativity within me, but I'm sure there was some kind of restlessness that did. It's so funny how you don't remember. It wasn't that long ago.
I know. Well, we blocked it out. Okay, let's listen.
And, of course, there was like depression moments throughout all this. Like there's moments where I was like, screw getting out of bed. What else is there to do? No one else is doing anything. Why do I need to try and do something? Achieve or... There's no goals to be had. There's nothing going on. And that was kind of like fun for a month, right? Mm-hmm. Where like, when you're just like, like the first month of quarantine felt like recess almost. Like, cause I live with 3 other people. And we're all very, very busy, and like, you live in a full house, yet you would never see each other,
right?
Except maybe in passing. And so all of a sudden we all get to sit down and watch movies together, or, have a glass of wine, or talk about what going on? Because like we never get to see each other for this amount of time.
Right.
But then after the fun, you know, like break ends and it's still the same thing, and then it's nothing's new, and then we have nowhere to go. What's next? And that was really the moment for myself, and with therapy in that, of like, okay, it's time to like look in the mirror. It's time to discover who Shelley is outside of she acts, she sings, she is a performer, and that's where, like, period. You know what I mean? That's where that ends. And so through this, I've actually like created all these new definitions, these new desires of creating myself. You know, I wrote my first pilot during this time with one of my best friends out here. I would, you know, do I call myself a writer? I don't know, but it's something that I can say I've done now. You know, I've all these new ideas. I was telling you before we hopped on, but you know, I'm obviously there's been a lot of wine drinking. But
I do remember that.
I was going to say that was everyone.
I used to sketch a lot. I was really good, like in art class in high school. I loved sketching and, you know, drawing an object.
So obviously you don't sketch anymore.
Picked that back up and kind of forgot how that would make me feel. Like I remember distinctly when I was like 12 or something, and you remember when Britney Spears was like super into fairies?
Oh man. Okay. How does that feel listening to that?
It's, as the kids say, super cringe. It's so funny. I was just like word attacking because I could tell probably trying to do the good interview role. What does Deb want to hear me say? Because if I talk a lot without stopping or breathing, I'm nervous and just trying to grasp on to what is the right thing for me to say. And I've lived, especially in these last 5 years, unworking a lot of what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? And I can hear, do I call myself a writer? What do I label myself now?
Right.
That must be like societally ingrained. I definitely took that on about, if I'm not this, then what else am I?
Are you still a writer?
No, not still a writer. Wrote a pilot, and then we got some notes on it, and we shot a teaser trailer for it, and then we kind of got burnt out. So I don't think this was meant for me. So this was fun for the moment it needed to be. But that's a good thing to note, right? That's definitely a step back from that overachiever mindset, right? Do you ever have those things that you've ever just done, and then you go, I think I'm done with that, or maybe it doesn't need to go forward? Is that a bone in your body?
I feel like I did a lot of trying things, not 100%. I was listening to something the other day, specifically around script writing, and they were talking about how you should share your script at 80%. Whenever the script is 80% ready, start sharing it. Don't wait for it to be 100%, which I love. And I'm like, I need to remind myself of that. But I feel like I do a lot of trying things and then not giving it its full. I'll be like, oh, that didn't work. And so I just move on. I'm like a squirrel all the time, like trying to figure out the next thing that's going to. I'm very bad at sitting in the moment.
Most of us are very bad at that. It comes with an admittance of, I tried something new. And I think our brains really want to tell us, I'm going to be great at this. Watch me excel and be better than I thought. And then if it comes out okay, or you didn't get any kind of validation or praise or something for it, then all of a sudden the other side of your brain is like, it's not worth my time. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I think about creators, especially because of our industry and because we're always trying to do the thing that's going to get attention, that's going to lead to the next thing.
What's now? What's trending?
Exactly. Right. And we're always striving for something bigger and better and whatever. Issue in general is that we always see people's high moments. We never see the low moments, and we never see the work behind what actually has to be done. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love talking on this podcast, is talking to people and tell me about the hard shit.
I think we know the truth too, that real, authentic, not to overuse that word, but great creativity, great art, great projects come out of the dark stuff, come out of those dark moments. Nobody's like, I'm riding high and I'm also a creative genius on this high ride. No, we listen to songs about heartbreak, movies about your world crumbling around you because it's relatable, because we're all going through that in some capacity. So why wouldn't we want to share that? Why do we feel any sort of shame? I have hard moments in my life. I have really dark moments in my life. It makes the highlight reel even better because it goes, look how far I've come, but we're not showing each other, especially on social media, because who wants to watch that? Somebody does. But it requires a huge amount of vulnerability to, especially in the social media space, present yourself openly to go, hey, my heart's on my sleeve. Things are not going well. Here's the journey. And that's why those people pop off. You've got people, you know, whether they're doing weight loss journeys or health journeys or starting a new career, any of that stuff. That's the hero journey that we all talk about in writing, in entertainment, in the mental health space. We're all in the hero journey. You have to overcome some really hard stuff.
For sure. Yeah. I want to jump ahead really quick to the end because I always asked about the mask that you're wearing.
I can tell you right now, she was wearing one and she probably told you she was unveiling. I bet you. She was like, I am revealing my true self, which I guarantee you was a lie.
Yep. Let's see if that's accurate.
I can't wait to hear.
Behind a mask that you're currently processing or
Oh wow,
you trumped her. You trumped her with the question.
That's a deep one. You know, I think what a lot of people would be surprised to understand about me or to find out about me is that I deal with a lot of insecurity. You know, about things that I'm sure other people would think are the silliest issues. But you know, it's very human. I constantly struggle with not being good enough of really anything at being a friend, being a family member, being in my field, looking a certain way for my partner. All these things that are very human, but I know that Shelley with the mask presents herself very confidently and very, you know, chest out, shoulders back. Oh, she must not deal with anything that I think about myself. And the truth of the matter is I probably deal with that more often than anything else. And, you know, and that's my work. And I really appreciate that question. That's really cool.
Sorry.
Because I think that's part of that authenticity that I try to present, but honestly, I'm scared to put out there.
Still true?
Because
not as true anymore.
Okay.
Especially as a sort of, you know, public persona and public figure
that I have on myself.
People want to see you in a specific box.
Right.
And people don't want to see your dirty.
People don't.
Right. And people don't want to see
was more important
your
than
opinions.
Right.
They want to see you in what they are comfortable to see you as.
Right.
And I feel very comfortable to be that for other people. But I think sometimes that does come at a cost to yourself. And I think that's a lot of that work that I'm doing right now, where how do I stay true to myself?
While pleasing other people. You don't. That's what, Kelly.
Trying to, you know,
can't do both.
Be something for someone else, and maybe it's like, maybe the honest truth of that is and I think I said this in one of my social posts. I was like, I don't have to be anything.
She didn't believe it yet.
For anyone else. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, no one else lives with me 24/7 of the day.
Yeah.
And so I've got to like me more than enough to then be able to like show up for everyone else who wants to see me or watch me do the thing I do well.
Oh man. Okay. How do you feel listening to that?
It's interesting. I feel happy right now. I feel like I'm in a space that I can actually see growth in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, that girl was so worried. She still was so worried. I was trying to keep all the plates in the air. And I think the plates at the time were, I just need everyone, including myself, to see that I'm okay. I got it. I'm okay. All I got to do is smile. If I smile, I can trick myself mentally and internally that I'm not upset. I'm not insecure. Life will bring you to a place where the tricks no longer work.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to look at the truth. When you are willing to look at your own truth and answer your own hard questions, the who am I questions. What am I here for? What is the purpose of all this? I know I was terrified of those questions. I had a cute little photo framed answer that was very brand marketable, right? This is who I am. And then when life just gut punches you in different circumstances, you can't stand on that stuff. I mean, you can, but it's just denial. So I think, and we were talking about this off the podcast, we will talk about it on.
Yeah.
I'm currently in a phase where I'm meeting my own denial and we're shaking hands and I'm like, oh, wow, this is what you look like, huh? You've tried to protect me from some version of a story that I thought would be true about myself if I admitted that I'm not perfect. I would always admit that in theory, but never in practice.
Right.
Going back to we were just talking about of scripts, the 80% stuff. Somewhere deep down, I think I believed that I could attain perfection or close enough to it. And it's just too much for anybody.
Yeah. You responded at some point to the perfectionism and to the, oh, I don't care what other people think. And you're like, oh, I'm saying that. That's not true at all.
Legitimately, I can speak on it now that I wanted to be that person. So I felt like if I just said it enough, it's like adding, okay, here's my analogy. I was just at home in Louisiana. It's crawfish season. So I went to one of my favorite spots, Sammy's Grill, shout out to Sammy's, and got 3 pounds of crawfish. They were delicious, but there is a difference in Louisiana boiled crawfish and pretty much anywhere else. With Louisiana, they put the seasoning in the water. They put the roux, the Creole seasoning, so that when the crawfish boil, the flavor soaks into the shell, into the crawfish tail. And when I have had it out here specifically, like in California, because other places do boil crawfish, they just simply boil crawfish and then give you sauce to go on top of it.
Interesting.
So like the analogy being, I was a person that
I was like, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, right. But the analogy is I was a person that would say, I don't care about what people think.
Right.
But I wasn't boiling myself in the flavor. I was just pouring sauce on top of my heart, I guess, hoping that it would sink in somehow without putting it in.
How have you learned this? Because I need to soak this up. I need to get into the hot
came
water
upon
with
me.
the
You're all
seasonings.
this
Oh
is
my
all
gosh.
just happening in real time. Yeah. So I hear that and I'm like, I knew what sounded good. And I loved saying and being presentable. And I always wanted to give people what they wanted to hear. That somebody wants to hear that I've struggled and I have, and you have. But they want to hear how you got through it. But what's funny is, what did we talk for like an hour? I don't know if I actually said anything of relevance. I was deathly afraid of letting you actually see me. I'll say the cliche things that sound good in the mental health space, but you probably didn't really get to know any more about me than just being like, yeah, we all go through hard things. And then you don't care what people think. Zinger.
Well, your second episode that we did, I feel like you went the complete opposite. I don't know how much you remember about that second episode, because that second episode was when you were going off of your medication yourself.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, and I remember, I feel like I can say this to you now, but I definitely remember recording that episode and going, should I edit out some of this stuff? Because Shelley's talking about the way that she's weaning herself off of medication. I definitely put some disclaimers in there where I was
For
like,
sure, for sure.
talk to
And
your
I will
doctor.
also be the first, because I have told that story a few times, and I
Yeah.
always say, please don't do this the way I did it. I've
Yeah.
learned the hard way firsthand. But that's again kind of my brain of, I don't know if that's a perfectionist thing. No,
Right.
everybody else has problems, but I'm going to be the exception
Right.
that can do this on her own. And then what a story to tell. Like, I wonder if my brain, do you find this of being in the entertainment industry? Am I a psychopath?
I'm like, where are you going
want
with this?
to tell stories about yourself? It's not a lie. It's more just, it's this idealistic version of yourself that I think
Sure.
I was like, I want to be that, but I wanted to be that for other people to look at, not for myself. And I think I'm finally
Interesting.
I think I'm finally getting to a place in my life where I'm like, well, if it's not for you, then babe, who else matters for it to be for, you know?
Wait, do you have a perfectionist attitude about yourself?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you not worried about, as long as the facade is there, you don't care if there's real perfectionism, as long as other people see the perfectionism?
I think it's more like, as long as you see that the ship is sailing smoothly, then I'm okay somehow.
Interesting.
The intention behind it isn't about lying or pulling a fast
Sure.
one on people. It's legitimately just because that's who I want to be. That's how I want to present. So I feel like if I present it, then it has to be true. Which is just you in denial. Hi, Shelley, meet denial.
I'm like analyzing myself.
Does any of that ring a bell for you?
Well, it does, but I feel like I'm even, not to one up or whatever, but I feel like I'm even harder on myself in that I don't legitimately think that I'm in the Truman Show, but I feel a lot of the time like I'm constantly in the Truman Show, so I can't show frustration. Like, I have to be perfect, even if I am alone, like with me and my baby and my dog. I still feel like I need to hold it together. And I am,
which is a performance, right? Which is still just a performance of,
for sure.
who is this for?
Yeah.
Back to the question of, if it can't be for you, if I can't allow myself to experience frustration, sadness, those real moments, and allow it to be okay. Again, the phrase of, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there is a difference in getting to a point where you can't bottle the feelings up anymore. Because like, we've all experienced the feelings, because we have to.
Right.
We're human. The operating system won't allow you to not.
Right.
But there's a difference in going, okay, I'm going to cry now because I have no other choice, versus, hey, I feel sad or angry, and my body is feeling a response to whatever the situation is going on. And that is fully okay. I'm going to let it be here. I'm not going to judge it, get mad at it, critique myself on how well or how not well I'm doing at crying or being sad or feeling a bad feeling. And I don't know if I can fully articulate it well yet, but there is a difference. I'm in a space now where, and I'll just be honest, I think it's just from exhaustion. When you get to a place where you're like, I just don't even have the energy to try and put a mask on it, right? Where you're like, okay, well, I'm in the grocery store and I'm gonna probably cry right now. Not gonna make a scene of it, but I'm not gonna try and hold it back either, because this is the truth of how I feel. And I don't have to. Yeah, I think everyone should get to the point where they're in the grocery store
and have
a little cry.
It's interesting because that reminds me of this acting mentor that I had for a long time. And her advice that I'm about to give you was built on a real life situation that she had. But she was someone who would be like, you can't leave your house without looking perfect. Do not go to the grocery store without a full face of makeup.
Wow.
You know, and it was because she was a child star, came to LA when she was 18. She's beautiful and blonde, and like immediately booked, big things. Ended up marrying someone who, like, big movie star. They are since divorced. And, she actually ran into a director at the grocery store once for a role that she was auditioning for, and she was in callbacks for, ran into the director, and she wasn't made up. And the director was like, "Oh, this is what you look like in person? No, nope." Which is so insane. And it's one of those where we're just in these high pressure situations. And yet I'm also just with age, just being like, I just don't give a fuck
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I can't anymore.
I feel like I just entered that threshold of maturity. I think just
Mhm.
maturity, wisdom, life lessons, maturity, call it age, aging. But like,
Mhm.
I was so excited for 30 because I thought, oh
Mhm.
my God, I know it all. And it has been quite a tumble down to 35, picking
Mhm.
myself up in mid 36. But I hear 40-year-olds be like, 40s where it's at. And then you
I know.
hear 50-year-olds go, yeah, but 50s where it's at. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to know that there's more. There's more excitement to be had, and to get to a place where you can maybe genuinely not give a fuck
Yeah. Yeah,
rather than just saying it.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, my version of that is the
Yeah.
fact that I started dating Brian when I was 34, almost 35.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
tells you something as far as
Yeah.
like my divorce and for me, from like 30 to 35 was a roller coaster shit show.
Yeah.
And something that you and I recorded on an episode and then never released, which I'm going to do a
Is that
callback
right?
to here.
Do we have an unreleased episode?
We do.
Oh,
Remember
yeah, duh.
earlier?
Well, that's right. Because you said it was 2 times I was on, but that's released because we didn't release on the
We
episode.
did. We had an episode we didn't release because it was one that we recorded in January right before the fires. And I just felt weird about releasing that episode after the fires, mostly because, and now I feel like enough time has passed,
What did
it
I
being
say?
May, but like, no, both of us, because what we were talking about a lot
What
on
were we
that
talking about?
episode, which I think is still really relevant, is this idea of shit is going to continue to spiral and get hard. Just it's COVID, and then it's the strikes, and now we've got our president again, and the potential like it's just going to continue to get hard and hard and hard. And I think that like with those memes that go around where it's like our generation is just completely fucked because we had
Like, what else could
Columbine
happen?
right, but it's one of those things, and this is what we talked about on the episode, where it was just like, okay, and like it gets really hard, and
And
what,
keep
like,
going. Yeah. And
yeah,
just
because
figure it out.
what else can we do
See,
is just keep pushing forward.
The part of maturity we're talking about.
Yeah,
This is the part
for
where
sure.
you really have to self-examine and go, maybe I don't know everything.
Mhm. For sure. Is there anything you want to tell your little 5 years ago Shelley self?
I just want to tell her she's doing great. Like, chillax. You're doing great. And she probably couldn't have heard it at the time, but I would tell her, you're so close. You're so close to unlocking the truth of yourself that you're so scared to look at. Whether that's some deep-seated lie. And that kind of goes back to my OCD too, of could I possibly just be a bad person at heart? These kind of sinister thoughts of, am I really just a bad person? Or am I just a person that's trying really hard? And I mean, that's to self-examine on like, am I a bad person? If you asked yourself that question, most people probably wouldn't recognize what's happening within them, but a defense mechanism will unlock within you because no one thinks they're a bad person.
For sure.
But to sit and go, could I be a bad person? And for the answer to actually be like, I probably could. And you sit there and think, I mean, your brain is trying to protect you. It's like, no, of course. No, look at all the good things you do in life and listen and look at all the difference you make and to just let it be okay to go, well, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Or whatever the question that you're avoiding is my point.
For sure.
But that's what I would tell her. I would just tell her, you're just so much closer than you think. You've got to give yourself more credit. You try really hard and just trust. That's a big thing I've probably unlocked within myself in the last year. Hell, the last 4 months of just developing a sense of trust with God, universe, self-trust, just the trust. Even with other people, it's all a risk. Everything's a risk. Life is a risk. Things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go right.
For sure.
You can trust that the foundation will find its balance again. And I think I used to think, nope, if the ship tilts, we're sinking and there's no going back. So I would do everything in my power to present perfect ship, right? Yeah. Does any of that ring true for
Tip
you?
that ship.
Yeah, tip the ship. We make a shirt.
I love it. I mean, it does, and it's something that for me, when you were talking, I was like, "Oh, I need to reread this book," which, talking about mental health tools. I need to reread this book, The Big Leap. Have you read that?
No, I haven't.
We should do a mini episode on this for sure.
Okay.
So stay tuned. But it's a book about, there's 4 or 5 different things that prevent you from reaching your ultimate power, to break through the glass ceiling basically and break through your own insecurities. And it's something that I think about all the time. And this is me going down a little rabbit hole because I'm not where I want to be in a lot of different ways. And I'm constantly analyzing, why is that? And by the way, I need to acknowledge with myself and with you here, like, I was just nominated for a fucking Emmy today. So I
Tell me this.
Oh, yeah.
This is real-time reaction, people. Oh my God.
I know.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you for Butterfly, for this film.
Hear ye, Deborah Smith, Emmy nominee.
Yeah,
That's
but I mean,
awesome.
it is, and and this is me actually celebrating it a little bit. Well, man, I just I just have such that's nice next, and this is where I'm like, I need to be better at sitting in things and appreciating things and applauding I need to be better at this. And this is one of the things in this book where it's just figuring out what is the thing that is holding you back, because it's yourself, basically. You are holding yourself back from reaching your ultimate whatever.
Accountability is
and I think that where you're at now versus where you were at 4 months ago, with everything that's changing in your life, which you're welcome to share or not, but everything that's going on with your life, you have become such a wonderfully evolved person in so many ways. And that's just so wonderful and special.
Thank you. I mean, look, it's a new season of the podcast. It's a new season in life. And going on this self-accountability journey, why don't we share? Why don't I actually put into practice being seen, being vulnerable, and I will cry. So, listeners, friends, this past 4 months has been hell because I have gone through a breakup. I haven't fully announced that yet. So this is kind of an official announcement. Not only a breakup, I've ended an engagement and it hurts. It sucks. It's heartbreaking. I've moved out of my place that I've been in for the last 9 years of my life. And it's one of the lowest moments of my whole life thus far. But it's also weirdly like one of the greatest gifts that I've been given, because I just didn't know that I was able to handle so much heartache, so much capacity to feel so many different things and survive it and like live to tell the tale. And I think that's full circling back. I think that's the hero journey, at least in the perspective I have right now, of if you're gonna be in your own hero role of your life, you can't avoid, it can't all be good. And you can't avoid the stuff that really, really hurts. And you can't avoid the truth. And I also want to preface that this is probably the best breakup that anyone could ask for. It is a very better terms than not breakup.
Yeah.
This is not a dramatic tale. It's just a very adult decision.
Mhm.
But it's still heartbreak and it hurts nonetheless.
Sure.
So
Well,
thank you for
watching
the
you,
space and for
of course.
the support in this sharing of myself. And that's something else I've really learned and been very humbled by, of the amount of love and genuine support from friends and the family that I have and the chosen family that I have in my life on both ends for Nick and myself is, and Junie with Junie's support. I don't think I would be able to have this knowledge, have this wisdom that I've gained without the circumstances that have happened in the last few months. And I'm very proud of myself. It was a very brave thing that I just did. And that's, testament to you and what this podcast is all about. And going back to that girl that you talked to, oh, she's on a high. Going back to that girl in 2021 that you talked to, she couldn't have done this. And that's my growth. And I'm really proud of myself that I don't want to hide anymore. I want people to know that, like, yeah, things are messy. Things can be messy. It's all right. And the only way that you're going to get through is to share it and to allow other people to be there for you. You can't be everything to yourself as much as
sure.
I wanted to be.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for the
like
space. Genuinely.
like watching you the last 4 months just go through all of this. I'm really proud of you and of Nick,
Thanks.
but I'm really proud of both of you and just like how you're handling it, how you're just chasing your joy and just putting yourself first, because that's so fucking hard for us to do.
It's really
It's the hardest.
It really is the
Yeah.
hardest thing I've ever experienced and done in my life. I've never known. This is my first true love, I think. Had my first love, but this is also my first long-term relationship. We're together 8.5 years. That's a significant portion of life and of young life that we had together. And so it is, again, kind of the whole idea of, like, I knew what it meant in theory, but now it's like I'm in practice. I'm in the experience of heartbreak and pain, real pain that, like, I've seen in the movies,
Right.
So yeah, but
For real.
again, what we also see in the movies, why this podcast exists, is to know that there is another side once you're through it, and then we share our stories and we allow ourselves to be seen. So thank you for seeing me and being so loving.
Wow. Thank you for being my co-host this season.
I'm thrilled to be here.
I hope that everyone listening to this episode understands why absolutely Shelley should be part of this. Here's to many more future episodes where we dive into all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really excited.
And then our third co-host, Jimmy B.
That's right.
She'll be making guest appearances.
She will, especially when the mailman comes by. She loves to be vocal.
Well, I wanted, since we're on the topic, though, kind of in remix land.
Yeah.
I know we were listening to the bulk of me, but is there anything that you caught in your past interview chair that you have learned from or grown from 2021 to now?
Only that I give other people permission to speak and do not give myself permission to speak. And that is something that I'm still working on and am excited to dive into more. One of the reasons that I really wanted to have a co-host was so that way it's not just me interviewing guests and not sharing of myself, but that way you can ask me, like, hey, what's your dirt on this? And then I have to answer. It's keeping me accountable, which I think is really important. And we all need those people. So
absolutely. All right. Well, this season you're going to have it. Deb's getting a louder voice. I'm going to be seen a lot more, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun and continue to share stories and help each other out. Thank you so much for listening to the second episode of season 6, More Than You See. We are so excited to have you here. And if you liked what you heard, be sure to give us a comment, find us on social media, share with your friends. We want to invite all of our fans, friends, everyone involved to listen to More Than You See. We will be back with so much more. So the links are in the show notes. You know where to find us. And if you don't know where to find us, you've got a Google contraption that can find us. Look us up, More Than You See, online, on socials. We want to hear back from you. So write us a review, write us some comments, and we are so excited that you're here. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Shelley. And I will say, just as our little closer, which I always say, which I think is like a good reminder for myself. I feel like I say so many things on this podcast for myself more than for anyone else. Now it's like for me and for Junie and for you, Shelley. But I want to remind everyone that everyone's going through hard shit and that it's really important to be kind to yourself. And remember that you and everyone around you is more than you see. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
And we'll see you again soon.